Michael stared out of the expansive window in his penthouse suite, the city skyline reflecting the golden hues of the setting sun. The view was breathtaking, the soft glimmer of lights beginning to twinkle as dusk settled over the bustling metropolis. Yet, despite the luxury surrounding him, an emptiness gnawed at his insides. He had spent years building his hotel empire, yet all he felt was suffocated by the constant flattery and sycophancy that accompanied his status. Friends became mere acquaintances, and acquaintances turned into relentless admirers, all vying for a piece of his success. Michael longed for authenticity, for genuine connections that didn't come with strings attached. He sighed deeply, running his fingers through his dark, tousled hair. "What's the point of all this?" he murmured to himself, his voice barely audible in the vastness of the room. He had everything a man could want: wealth, power, and influence, but it all fell hollow. The constant praise from those around him felt like an insatiable hunger that could never be satisfied. In a moment of impulsive clarity, Michael made a decision. He would take a break from his life of luxury and disguise himself as a regular guest at his own hotel. It was a bold move, one that could easily backfire, but he craved the experience of being an ordinary person, even if just for a few days. He wanted to gauge the service from a guest perspective and perhaps, just perhaps, meet someone who treated him as more than just a wealthy hotel mogul. The next morning, he meticulously planned his disguise. Choosing a simple outfit of jeans and a casual shirt, he looked in the mirror, barely recognizing the man staring back at him. Gone were the tailored suits and polished shoes that spoke of his wealth. Instead, he saw a man who blended with the everyday crowd. Michael decided to call himself Jake. It felt fresh, a name that allowed him to shed the weight of his identity. As he entered the lobby of the hotel, a sense of exhilaration washed over him. The familiar scent of polished wood and fresh flowers filled the air, but today it felt different. Instead of being the owner, he was just another guest, and he reveled in the anonymity. He approached the front desk, where a young receptionist greeted him with a bright smile. "Good morning. Welcome to the Grand Lux Hotel. How can I assist you today?" she chirped, her enthusiasm infectious. "Hi, I'm Jake. I'd like to check in, please," he replied, trying to keep his voice casual. "Of course. We have a lovely room ready for you. Just a moment." She typed rapidly on her computer, and Michael took a moment to soak in the atmosphere. Guests were chatting, laughter echoed through the lobby, and a sense of warmth enveloped him. This was the life he had longed for, freedom from the expectations that came with his name. "Here you go, Mr. Jake," the receptionist said, handing over a key card with a beaming smile. "You're in room 312. If you need anything during your stay, don't hesitate to ask." "Thank you," he responded, feeling a thrill rush through him. As he walked toward the elevator, he couldn't help but smile. For the first time in years, he felt a spark of excitement and a hint of nervousness. What would he discover in this new role? The elevator doors slid shut, and as he ascended to the third floor, Michael felt an unexpected rush of adrenaline. He was no longer Michael, the wealthy hotel mogul. He was Jake, just a regular guest. He stepped out into the hallway, the plush carpet soft underfoot, and made his way to his room. Once inside, he dropped his bag and took a deep breath, absorbing the ambience. The room was luxurious, yet he found himself appreciating it for different reasons today. The soft lighting, the view of the city, and the elegant decor seemed to invite him to relax. He sat on the edge of the bed, his heart racing with anticipation for what lay ahead. After a moment, he decided to explore the hotel. He wandered down to the cafe, drawn by the aroma of freshly brewed coffee. As he entered, He noticed the bustling atmosphere, with staff moving efficiently to serve guests. His eyes wandered around the room, taking in the details, the modern art on the walls, the laughter of guests at tables, and the sound of clinking cups. Then he spotted her. A young woman with warm brown hair, pulled back in a ponytail, was behind the counter, preparing pastries. She moved with a grace that caught his attention, her smile radiant as she interacted with guests. There was something genuine about her demeanor that intrigued him, a stark contrast to the polished smiles he was used to from those in his world. "Can I get cappuccino, please?" he asked, stepping up to the counter. "Absolutely. One cappuccino coming right up," she replied, her voice melodic and inviting. "Are you staying with us for long?" "Just a few days," he replied, feeling a twinge of excitement at the prospect of connecting with her. "I'm looking forward to enjoying everything the hotel has to offer." "That's great to hear. We have some amazing amenities. You'll love the rooftop pool. It has a fantastic view of the skyline," she said, her enthusiasm infectious. Michael smiled, genuinely interested. "I might have to check that out. What's your name?" "Sarah," she said, extending her hand over the counter. "It's nice to meet you, Jake." "Nice to meet you too, Sarah," he said, shaking her hand. Her grip was firm, her energy vibrant. "So, how long have you worked here?" "About 2 years now. I love it. The people are great, and I get to be around food all day," she said, her eyes lighting up. "I'm actually training to become a chef. It's my dream." "Really? That's incredible," he responded, genuinely intrigued. "What kind of cuisine do you want to specialize in?" "I'm really passionate about Italian food," she replied, her cheeks flushing slightly. "There's something about the flavors and the culture that speaks to me. I want to create dishes that tell a story." Michael watched her as she spoke, captivated by her passion. It was a refreshing change from the conversations he was used to in his world, where ambition often felt tainted by competition and greed. With Sarah, there was a sincerity that drew him in, igniting a flicker of interest in his heart. "Maybe you could show me some of your favorite dishes while I'm here," he suggested, unable to suppress the smile tugging at his lips. "I'd love that. I can even give you a few tips if you're interested in cooking," she said, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Just let me know when." "I'll definitely take you up on that," he replied, feeling a warmth spread through him. They chatted for a few more moments, sharing laughs and stories, the connection between them growing stronger with each passing second. As he took his cappuccino and stepped away from the counter, Michael felt a sense of exhilaration. The world outside his penthouse felt alive and vibrant, and he was finally a part of it. He glanced back at Sarah, who was busy serving another customer, her smile ever present. He knew the truth about his identity loomed over him like a shadow, but for now, he allowed himself to enjoy this unexpected connection. Little did he know, the days ahead would challenge him in ways he never anticipated, and the bond he was forming with Sarah would test the very foundations of his carefully constructed life. For now, however, he was content to simply be Jake, embracing the thrill of anonymity and the promise of a new adventure. As the days passed at the hotel, Michael found himself drawn to the cafe where Sarah worked. The ambience was warm and inviting, filled with the rich aroma of freshly brewed coffee and baked goods. Each morning, he would take a seat at the same table by the window, a perfect spot to watch the world outside, while inside, he could witness the vibrant energy of the hotel staff bustling about their duties. Sarah had a way of brightening the space. Her laughter echoed softly, a melodic contrast to the clattering of dishes and the hum of conversations. "Good morning, Jake," Sarah greeted him, her voice cheerful as she approached his table with a steaming cup of coffee in hand. Her eyes sparkled with genuine enthusiasm, making Michael's heart flutter. She set the cup down before him, her fingers brushing against his for a brief moment that sent a shiver down his spine. "Good morning, Sarah," he replied, a smile spreading across his face. "I think this coffee is getting better every day." "Well, I might be a little biased, but I like to believe it's all in the love we put into it," she said, her cheeks flushing slightly as she tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear. "What's on your agenda today?" Michael leaned back in his chair, savoring his coffee. "I'm thinking of exploring a bit more of the hotel. Maybe check out the rooftop terrace. I've heard it has an incredible view." "Absolutely. The sunset from up there is breathtaking," she said, her eyes lighting up with excitement. "You should definitely head up there. And if you're up for it, I can show you some of the behind-the-scenes magic that goes into our kitchen later. We have a staff cooking demonstration today. It's always a lot of fun." "Cooking demonstration?" Michael felt a surge of interest. "I'd love to see that. I can't wait to taste your creations." Sarah laughed, a sound that was like music to his ears. "I'll do my best not to burn anything. Just don't judge too harshly if I accidentally set something on fire." "I promise. No judgment," he replied, his heart racing at the thought of spending more time with her. They moved seamlessly between conversations about food and life, sharing stories that revealed their dreams and aspirations. Michael learned about Sarah's childhood in a small town, where she had first discovered her love for cooking while helping her grandmother in the kitchen. He admired her passion and determination, feeling an unexpected sense of connection that he hadn't experienced in years. Later that day, as the sun began to dip below the horizon, Sarah led Michael to the staff kitchen for the cooking demonstration. The room was filled with the tantalizing smells of herbs and spices, and the atmosphere buzzed with excitement as the team prepared to showcase their skills. Sarah was in her element, moving gracefully between the counters, her hands deftly chopping vegetables and mixing ingredients. "Welcome, everyone," Sarah announced to the small group of staff members gathered around. "Today, we're going to create a classic Italian dish, risotto. And I'm so glad to have a special guest with us, Jake." Michael felt a rush of warmth at her words. The way she introduced him made him feel like he belonged. "I'm just here for the taste testing," he joked, earning a round of laughter from the staff. As Sarah guided them through the process, she paused to explain each step, her passion evident in the way her eyes sparkled as she spoke. "Risotto is all about patience and love. You have to stir it continuously and add the broth slowly. It's a labor of love, but the results are worth it." Michael watched her intently, captivated not only by her culinary skills, but also by her infectious enthusiasm. He could see how much she cared about her craft, and it was inspiring. After a while, she caught him staring, a playful grin forming on her lips. "You're really quiet over there, Jake. Are you taking notes?" she teased, raising an eyebrow. "Just admiring a true artist at work," he replied, his voice sincere. "You make it look so easy." "Easy? Huh. If only it were that simple," she chuckled, shaking her head. "There are a million ways this can go wrong, but that's part of the fun, right?" As the dish neared completion, the kitchen filled with the rich, creamy aroma of the risotto. Sarah carefully plated the final product, adding a sprinkle of fresh parsley and a drizzle of olive oil. "And voila, a masterpiece," she declared with a flourish, presenting the dish to Michael. He took a bite, letting the flavors dance on his palate. "This is incredible. You have to promise me you'll be a chef one day, Sarah. You're too talented to stay in a cafe." Her expression turned serious for a moment, and she looked down at her hands. "I hope so. I've always dreamed of opening my own restaurant, but it's hard to take that leap. There's so much competition, and I don't know if I'm good enough." Of course, you're good enough, Michael said, his voice firm. You have the passion and the skill. You just need to believe in yourself. She met his gaze, her eyes searching his for sincerity. Thank you, Jake. That means a lot coming from you. Sometimes, it's hard to see my own potential. In that moment, Michael felt a pang of guilt. He longed to tell her who he truly was, to share that he was not just any guest, but the owner of the hotel she worked at. He wanted to encourage her as Michael, not Jake, but fear held him back. What would she think of him if she knew? Would she see him as just another wealthy man with everything handed to him, someone who could never understand her struggles? As the demonstration ended, the staff members applauded Sarah, and Michael joined in, genuinely impressed by her talent. They shared laughter and camaraderie, and he felt a warmth building inside him, a connection that deepened with each passing moment. That evening, as they cleaned up, Sarah turned to him, her expression thoughtful. I'm really glad you came to the demonstration. It means a lot to me that you're supportive of my dreams. I wouldn't miss it for the world, he replied, his voice steady. I'm here for you, Sarah. Whatever you need, I'll be there. Their eyes locked for a moment, and Michael felt a surge of emotion. He wanted to protect this connection, to nurture it, but the weight of his secret loomed over him like a dark cloud. He had never felt this way about anyone in a long time, and the thought of losing her because of his deception was unbearable. As the night drew to a close, Michael walked Sarah to the staff entrance, the moon casting a soft glow around them. Thank you for today, he said, his voice low and sincere. You really are something special. She smiled, a genuine, radiant smile that made his heart race. I'm just me, Jake. But thank you for saying that. It's nice to have someone who sees me for who I am. And with that, they parted ways. But Michael lingered for a moment, watching her walk away. He felt a mix of joy and fear, the thrill of connection battling with the dread of the truth he had yet to reveal. As the days turned into a blur of laughter and shared secrets, Michael found himself ensnared in a web of emotions he hadn't anticipated. Each moment spent with Sarah felt both exhilarating and terrifying, as he grappled with the fear of revealing his true identity. The more he got to know her, the more he realized how different she was from everyone else in his life. She was genuine, driven, and full of life, qualities that drew him like a moth to a flame. One afternoon, as they lounged in the quiet corner of the cafe, the sun streaming through the large windows, Sarah stirred her coffee thoughtfully. You know, Jake, I've been thinking about what it means to chase your dreams. It's so easy to get lost in the daily grind, but when you really want something, it's like a fire inside you. It pushes you forward. Michael nodded, captivated by her enthusiasm as she spoke. What's your dream, Sarah? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper, as if the question itself was sacred. She looked up, her eyes sparkling with passion. I want to be a chef. Not just any chef, but one that creates dishes that tell a story, that evoke emotions. I want to open my own restaurant one day, where every meal is an experience. Her hands moved animatedly, painting a picture in the air. Imagine a place where people can come and feel something just by tasting the food. He felt a pang of admiration as he listened to her. You really care about this, he said. I can see it in your eyes. It's everything to me, she replied, her smile fading slightly. But sometimes it feels like such a distant dream. I work so hard, but I wonder if I'll ever get there. Michael's heart ached for her. He wanted to reach out, to tell her that she could achieve anything she set her mind to. But the weight of his secret hung heavily on his shoulders, a constant reminder of the deception he was living. How could he share in her dreams when he was hiding the truth? "Have you ever thought about entering a cooking competition?" he ventured, trying to steer the conversation toward a more uplifting direction. "I hear they can be great for exposure and experience." Her eyes lit up again. "I've thought about it. There's a local competition coming up soon. It's not just about winning, but it could be an amazing opportunity to showcase my skills." She hesitated, then added, "But I still feel like I need more practice. I want to be ready." "You'll do great," Michael encouraged, his voice sincere. "Just believe in yourself. You have a gift." Sarah's gaze softened, and she reached across the table, her hand brushing against his. "Thanks, Jake. That means a lot coming from you. You really have a way of making me feel like I can do anything." As he sat there, feeling the warmth of her hand against his, Michael was struck by the realization that he was falling for her hard. The laughter they shared, the way she lit up when talking about her dreams, the kindness she showed to everyone around her, it all wrapped around his heart like an embrace he had longed for. But with every beat of his heart came the gnawing fear that it would all come crashing down if she discovered who he truly was. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Michael made a decision. He would extend his stay at the hotel, not just to enjoy the company of Sarah, but to immerse himself in her world. He wanted to be part of her journey, even if it was just for a little while longer. After all, his heart craved the simple joys, the laughter, the connection, the love that seemed to bloom between them. The following day, he approached the front desk, his heart racing as he asked to extend his stay. "I'd like to book another week, please," he said, keeping his voice casual, though excitement bubbled beneath the surface. The receptionist raised an eyebrow, but nodded, processing his request. As Michael walked away, a sense of relief washed over him. He had bought himself more time, and with that time, he hoped to create more moments with Sarah. Over the next few days, they explored the hotel together, embarking on many adventures that made Michael feel alive. They wandered through the lush gardens, laughing as they chased each other among the blooming flowers. They snuck into the kitchen during off hours, where Sarah taught him the basics of chopping vegetables and mixing sauces. He was a clumsy learner, but her laughter and gentle guidance made the experience enjoyable. "Okay, Jake, try dicing the onions again," she instructed, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "Just don't cry this time." Michael chuckled. "No promises. I think it's the onion's fault, not mine." He took a deep breath, steeling himself for the challenge. As they worked side by side, the atmosphere crackled with a blend of camaraderie and unspoken tension. He watched her as she moved with grace, her passion evident in every chop and stir. "You know, you should really consider teaching cooking classes," he teased, grinning at her. "Maybe one day," she replied, her smile fading slightly. "If I ever get the chance, that is." "Don't doubt yourself," he said, his tone earnest. "You have a gift, and you should share it with the world." Sarah turned to him, her expression serious. "You really believe that?" "I do," he affirmed, locking eyes with her. "You have something special, and I know you'll get there. Just keep pushing forward." Their connection deepened with each shared moment. Yet Michael's internal struggle remained. The closer they grew, the more he feared the inevitable revelation. What would happen when she found out he was not just another guest, but the owner of the hotel? Would she feel betrayed? Would she see him differently? One evening, after a day spent wandering the nearby market, they returned to the hotel, laughter spilling over as they recounted their adventures. Beneath the stars, they found themselves sitting on a bench, the cool night air wrapping around them like a comforting blanket. "Jake," Sarah began, her voice soft as she looked up at the stars twinkling overhead. "Sometimes I wonder if I'm chasing a dream that's too big for me. It's scary, you know." Michael felt the weight of her words settle in his chest. "I think everyone feels that way at some point. It's a part of being human. But the important thing is to keep going, even when it gets tough." She nodded, her gaze drifting to the ground. "I just don't want to fail. I want to make my family proud." "You won't fail," he assured her, placing a comforting hand on her back. "You're too talented and determined for that." As silence enveloped them, Michael's heart raced. He wanted to confess everything, to share his truth, and see if their bond could withstand the revelation. But the fear of losing her held him back, a tight grip around his chest that left him breathless. "Jake," she said, breaking the silence, her voice trembling slightly, "I'm really glad I met you. You've made this time at the hotel something I'll cherish forever." He turned to her, his heart swelling at her words. "I feel the same way, Sarah. You've brought joy into my life in a way I didn't know I needed." The moment hung between them, charged with unspoken emotions. Michael longed to pull her into his arms, to tell her that she was more than just a fleeting moment in his life. But as he looked into her eyes, he realized that honesty was the only way forward. "Sarah," he began, his voice shaky, "there's something I need to tell you." But before he could gather the courage to speak, doubt crept in again, and he hesitated, weighing his fears against the love he felt blooming inside him. Would the truth tear them apart, or could it bind them together in an unbreakable bond? As the stars twinkled above, Michael found himself at a crossroads, caught between the man he was pretending to be and the man he truly was. The decision loomed over him, heavy with the weight of uncertainty, as he struggled to find the right moment to reveal the truth that could either bring them closer or shatter everything they had built together. The early morning sun filtered through the large windows of the hotel's conference room, casting a warm glow over the assembled staff. Michael, still under the guise of Jake, sat at the back, sipping coffee and trying to maintain his composure. The atmosphere was charged with excitement as Sarah, unaware of his true identity, prepared to present her ideas for the upcoming seasonal menu. Michael's heart raced with both pride and anxiety. He had watched her transform from a shy staff member into a confident woman eager to showcase her culinary skills. As Sarah spoke passionately about her ideas, detailing her vision for a menu that combined local flavors with innovative techniques, Michael felt a swell of admiration. He noticed how her eyes sparkled when she explained the concept of pairing fresh seafood with herbs from the hotel's own garden. The room was filled with nods of approval, and Michael couldn't help but smile, captivated by her enthusiasm. "Sarah, that sounds incredible," one of the senior chefs interjected, clapping his hands together. "I can already taste the sea in your dishes. You have a real talent." Michael's chest tightened with conflicting emotions. He was proud of her achievements, yet a pang of jealousy shot through him. He wanted her to succeed, but he also feared that as she rose in her career, she would grow further away from him. He couldn't shake the thought that once she learned the truth about his identity, she might see him as nothing more than the wealthy hotelier who had manipulated their connection. As the meeting continued, Michael's mind wandered. He envisioned a future where they could work side by side, her culinary dreams flourishing while he managed the hotel's operations. But the reality of his deception loomed over him like a dark cloud. He was a man who had chosen to hide behind a mask, and the risk of being exposed grew with each passing moment. When the meeting concluded, Sarah beamed with pride, basking in the compliments from her colleagues. Michael approached her cautiously, feeling a mix of admiration and dread. "Hey, That was fantastic, he said, trying to sound casual. You really captured everyone's attention. Thanks, Jake. I just, I really love cooking, you know? It's more than just a job for me, she replied, her cheeks flushed with excitement. I want to create something special, something that makes people feel at home. Michael felt a pang in his chest. Here she was pouring her heart out to him, and he was holding back the truth that could shatter everything. You will, Sarah. I have no doubt you'll make your mark, he said, forcing a smile. She looked at him, her eyes searching his face for something deeper. What about you? What do you want to do? I mean, beyond being a guest here. He hesitated, feeling the weight of his deception. Oh, I guess I'm just enjoying the experience of being around such talented people, he managed to say, diverting the conversation. It's refreshing. Refreshing. She laughed softly, the sound like music to his ears. It must be nice to have a change of pace. Yeah, something like that, he replied, forcing a chuckle. But inside, he was wrestling with the reality that his time was running out. Later that evening, Michael was restless. He wandered through the hotel's grand lobby, admiring the chandeliers that sparkled overhead and the plush furnishings that adorned the space. Guests milled about, and the atmosphere was alive with laughter and conversation. But he felt disconnected from it all, his mind consumed with thoughts of Sarah. Suddenly, his phone buzzed in his pocket. It was a message from his assistant, informing him that a rival hotelier had caught wind of Jake staying at his hotel. The message sent a chill down his spine. The last thing he needed was for someone to expose him, especially when he had begun to build something genuine with Sarah. Michael, we need to talk, his assistant had written, urgency lacing their words. I just heard from a source that Thomas is looking into Jake. He suspects something is off. Panic surged through him. He glanced around, half expecting to see Thomas lurking in the shadows, ready to ruin everything. The idea of his rival unearthing his secret and potentially hurting Sarah filled him with dread. He couldn't let that happen. As he paced the lobby, lost in thought, he spotted Sarah laughing with a few coworkers at the cafe. Her laughter was infectious, and for a moment, he forgot his worries. But then the reality of his situation crashed over him like a wave. He had to make a decision, reveal his identity, or risk losing her once the truth came out. Jake, Sarah called out, waving him over. Her joy was palpable, and he felt a tug at his heartstrings. He walked toward her, forcing a smile. Hey, what's going on? He asked, attempting to sound nonchalant. Just celebrating. I got a promotion, she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with excitement. I'll be leading the team for the upcoming culinary events. Wow, that's amazing, Sarah, he said, his voice genuine. You deserve it. Thank you. I'm so excited. This is a huge step for me, she continued, a blush creeping to her cheeks. I couldn't have done it without the support of everyone here. Michael felt a surge of conflicting emotions. He was thrilled for her success, yet his heart sank at the thought of her moving up while he remained an imposter. I'm really happy for you, he said, his voice thick with emotion. You're going to do great things. Let's celebrate. I'm thinking of cooking a special dinner for the team this weekend. Would you join us? She asked, her eyes hopeful. Of course, I wouldn't miss it, he replied, though a knot tightened in his stomach. The closer they got, the harder it would be to tell her the truth. As the night wore on, Michael retreated to his room, staring out at the city lights. The weight of his secret felt heavier than ever. He longed to be honest with Sarah, to share his true self with her, but the fear of losing her was paralyzing. He paced back and forth, wrestling with his thoughts. Just then, a knock on the door interrupted his turmoil. He opened it to find Sarah standing there, looking earnest and a bit apprehensive. Can I come in? She asked, her voice soft. Of course, he replied, stepping aside to let her enter. She took a deep breath, her gaze fixed on the floor before meeting his eyes. I just wanted to say thank you for being so supportive today. It means a lot to me. Michael's heart swelled at her words. You deserve it, Sarah. You worked hard for this. I've been thinking a lot about us, she continued, her voice trembling slightly. I feel a connection with you, and I'm not sure how to navigate it. I just don't want to ruin what we have. Me neither, he said, his heart racing. I value what we have, too. But as he stood there, staring into her eyes, he knew he had to reveal the truth. He opened his mouth to speak, but hesitated, the words caught in his throat. Would she understand? Would she still look at him the same way? Sarah, sensing his struggle, stepped closer. Jake, is there something you're not telling me? In that moment, Michael realized that the truth could no longer be postponed. The stakes were too high, and the thought of losing her to a lie was unbearable. He took a deep breath, his heart pounding in his chest, as he prepared to finally reveal who he truly was, ready to face whatever consequences awaited him. Michael stood before Sarah, his heart pounding in his chest like a drum, announcing the arrival of an unwelcome truth. The air between them was thick with unspoken words and lingering emotions, a fragile thread woven from their days together at the hotel. He took a deep breath, the weight of his deception pressing heavily on his shoulders. Sarah, he began, his voice unsteady. I need to tell you something important. Her brow furrowed in confusion, and he could see the flicker of apprehension in her eyes. What is it, Jake? She asked, her tone cautious, yet tinged with concern. He hated the fact that he had to shatter the image they had built together, but he knew that honesty was the only way forward. I'm not who you think I am, he confessed, the words tumbling out in a rush. I'm Michael Andretti, the owner of this hotel. The silence that followed was deafening. Sarah's expression shifted from surprise to disbelief, her mouth opening slightly as if to speak, but no words came forth. The realization crashed over her like a wave, and he watched as her mind raced to comprehend the magnitude of his revelation. Michael Andretti, she echoed, her voice barely a whisper. The hotel mogul. He nodded, his heart sinking at the hurt that flickered in her eyes. I came here to escape the facade, to experience life as a regular guest. I wanted to see the hotel through a different lens, and I met you, he continued, desperation creeping into his voice. I didn't want to be just the owner. I want to be Jake, someone you could connect with. Sarah took a step back, her expression shifting as a whirlwind of emotions played across her face. The warmth that had once filled their conversations was now replaced with a cold distance. You lied to me, she said, her voice trembling. Everything we shared, was it all just a game to you? No, it was real, he pleaded, stepping forward, but she held up a hand, stopping him in his tracks. You don't understand, she continued, her voice steadying. I open up to you. I share my dreams, my struggles. You were supposed to be a friend, someone I could trust. I know, Michael replied, anguish spilling from his words. And I'm so sorry. I should have told you the truth sooner. I was scared of losing you. You're the first person to see me for who I am, not just what I own. Sarah closed her eyes for a moment, collecting herself. When she opened them again, they were filled with hurt. But how can I trust you now? Everything feels like a lie. He ran a hand through his hair, frustration bubbling within him. I never intended to deceive you, Sarah. I wanted to experience life without the weight of my name. I want to be genuine with you. I thought if I could just be Jake long enough, maybe I could find something real. She shook her head, taking another step back, her expression a mix of sadness and anger. Real? How can anything be real when you've built a wall of lies around it? He took a moment to gather his thoughts, feeling the ground beneath him shift. I understand why you're upset. I can't change what I've done, but I can tell you that my feelings for you are real. They've grown in a way I never expected. I care about you, Sarah. Caring isn't enough, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I need time to think. With that, she turned and walked away, leaving him standing alone in the corridor, the silence echoing around him like a haunting melody. Michael felt a hollow ache settle in his chest, the consequences of his deception crashing down upon him. He leaned against the wall, the cool surface offering little comfort. He had wanted to connect with someone so deeply, but he had only succeeded in driving a wedge between them. He rubbed his face with his hands, feeling the weight of regret pressing down on him like a heavy blanket. As he stood there, lost in thought, memories of their time together flooded back. Her laughter in the cafe, the way her eyes sparkled when she talked about her culinary dreams, the warmth of her hand brushing against his as they shared secrets under the stars. He had found solace in her, a kindred spirit in a world filled with pretense. And now, he feared he had lost that connection forever. Minutes felt like hours as he waited for Sarah to return. Each tick of the clock echoed in his mind, a reminder of the fragile thread that connected them, now fraying at the edges. He wondered if he had jeopardized everything they had built, if the trust that had blossomed between them could withstand the storm of his revelation. Finally, he heard footsteps approaching, and his heart raced with a mix of hope and dread. Sarah reappeared, her expression unreadable. She took a deep breath, her fists clenched at her sides as she looked at him. "I've thought about what you said," she began, her voice steady but layered with emotion. "Okay," he replied, his heart pounding in anticipation. "It hurts to know you didn't trust me enough to tell me the truth," she continued, her gaze unwavering. "But I also need to understand why you felt the need to hide who you are." "I was overwhelmed," he confessed, desperation creeping into his voice. "Being Michael Andretti means being surrounded by people who want something from me. I wanted to know what it felt like to be seen for who I truly am, not just as a businessman or a hotel mogul. I thought if I could just be Jake for a little while, I could find that connection. But you didn't give me the chance to see you," she replied, her voice softening but still firm. "You let your fears dictate your actions. You could have trusted me. I would have understood." "I know," he said, his voice filled with remorse. "And I wish I had. I was afraid of losing you, and in trying to protect myself, I ended up pushing you away." Sarah took a step closer, her eyes searching his. "I don't know how to move forward from this. Trust isn't easily rebuilt." "I understand," he said quietly, feeling the weight of her words. "I'll do whatever it takes to earn your trust back. I don't want to lose you, Sarah. You mean more to me than you know." For a moment, they stood in silence, the air thick with unresolved emotions. Michael felt a glimmer of hope flickering in the depths of his heart, but he also understood the gravity of the situation. He had a long road ahead if he wanted to mend what was broken. "Let's take it slow," Sarah finally said, her voice steady despite the turmoil in her eyes. "I need time to process everything, but I'm willing to talk about it." "Thank you," he breathed, relief flooding through him. "I'll be here, ready to show you who I really am." As they stood together in the corridor, the weight of their conversation hung in the air like an unspoken promise. They were at a crossroads, and though uncertainty loomed ahead, Michael felt a flicker of hope igniting within him. He was ready to face the challenges ahead, ready to prove that love could endure, even in the shadow of secrets. As Michael and Sarah stood amidst the emotional wreckage of their conversation, the air around them thickened with tension. Just as they began to find common ground, a commotion erupted from the lobby. The sound of raised voices grew louder, and the heavy, ornate doors of the hotel swung open to reveal a figure that made Michael's stomach churn. It was Roger, a rival hotelier known as much for his cutthroat business tactics as for his sharp tongue. "Ladies and gentlemen," Roger's voice boomed, cutting through the buzz of shocked whispers, "I hope you're all enjoying your stay at this establishment." He paused, a smirk playing on his lips as his eyes landed on Michael. "I thought I'd drop by and expose a little secret. You see, our dear Jake here isn't just an ordinary guest. He's none other than Michael Kensington, the mogul behind this hotel. Gasps rippled through the crowd, and Michael's heart sank. He glanced at Sarah, who looked as if the ground had been pulled out from under her. The warmth and understanding that had just been building between them were crushed instantly beneath the weight of revelation and betrayal. "Is it true?" someone from the crowd shouted, eyes wide with disbelief. "He's been pretending." Before Michael could respond, the crowd began to murmur, excitedly swapping rumors and speculations like eager children sharing secrets. The atmosphere shifted, turning chaotic as the guests' whispers morphed into accusatory glances toward Sarah. She stood frozen, her expression a mixture of shock and hurt, as if she had been betrayed as well. "Sarah," Michael called, his voice rising above the din. He stepped forward, trying to shield her from the onslaught of judgment. "This isn't her fault." Roger stepped in, arms crossed, a mocking smile plastered on his face. "Oh, but Michael, she's been in on your little charade, hasn't she? Or did you just use her to feel better about yourself while you were hiding behind a false identity?" "Shut up, Roger," Michael barked, his anger flaring. "You don't know anything about her. She's worked harder than anyone in this hotel and deserves respect." The crowd quieted, intrigued by Michael's sudden outburst. Sarah looked at him, her eyes wide with surprise and something else. Admiration, perhaps. The fact that he was defending her, even in this chaotic moment, ignited a flicker of hope within her. "Michael, it's okay," Sarah said softly, her voice trembling. "I don't want you to get into trouble because of me." But Michael shook his head, stepping closer to her. "No, it's not okay. You're not the one who hid the truth. I did. You deserve to be celebrated, not dragged into this mess." He turned back to Roger, who was reveling in the attention. "You don't know a thing about her dedication and passion. You only care about tearing people down." Roger's smirk faltered slightly, but he quickly regained his composure. "Oh, I know all about Sarah. A waitress dreaming of becoming a chef? What a cliché. You think that just because you're friends with the owner, you'll get a free pass? The truth is that talent doesn't come from wishful thinking." Rage boiled inside Michael. "You're wrong. Sarah is talented. She has what it takes to succeed, and I'll make sure she knows it." He turned to the crowd, his voice steady and impassioned. "I may have hidden my identity, but one thing I haven't hidden is my admiration for this incredible woman. Sarah deserves to showcase her skills, and I'm going to make that happen." The crowd shifted uneasily, and for a moment, silence fell. Michael took a deep breath, feeling the weight of his words settle among them. He looked back at Sarah, who was watching him with a mix of surprise and gratitude. This was not just about him anymore. It was about protecting her dreams and dignity. "Michael," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, "you don't have to do this. I can handle it." He stepped closer to her, lowering his voice so only she could hear. "But I want to do this. You've shown me what it means to be genuine. I want everyone to see you as you truly are, a passionate, talented person who deserves every opportunity." With renewed determination, Michael turned back to the crowd, his heart racing. "Let me show you what Sarah can do. I challenge you, Roger. Let's host a culinary showcase here at my hotel. Sarah will lead it, and I'll ensure she has all the resources she needs. If you truly believe in your establishment's superiority, let's see who can produce a better meal." The crowd erupted into murmurs again, and Roger's eyes narrowed. "A cooking competition? How quaint. But I'll accept your challenge, Kensington. Just know that when you lose, you'll have to admit that your little experiment was a failure." Michael felt a surge of adrenaline. "Fine. But when we win, you'll acknowledge Sarah's talent and give her the respect she deserves." "Deal." "Deal," Roger replied, a wicked grin spreading across his face. As Roger stormed away, The crowd began to disperse, whispers of the upcoming competition buzzing through the air. Michael turned back to Sarah, who looked both incredulous and touched. "You really meant that?" she asked, her voice a mix of disbelief and hope. "Every word," he promised, his gaze steady. "You're more than just a waitress. You're a chef in the making, and I want the world to see that." Tears shimmered in her eyes, and she stepped forward, her emotions spilling over. I never expected you to stand up for me like that. It means so much." He reached for her hand, intertwining their fingers. "You've changed my perspective on so many things. I want to support you, no matter what it takes." In that moment, the weight of their previous confrontation melted away. They were two souls connected by a shared dream and the promise of new beginnings. As they embraced, the world around them faded, leaving only the warmth of their connection. Michael knew the road ahead would not be easy, but with Sarah by his side, he felt ready to face whatever challenges awaited. Together, they would navigate the complexities of their newfound relationship and the culinary competition that loomed ahead. Their bond had been tested, but from the ashes of chaos, a deeper trust and understanding had emerged, illuminating their path forward. With a shared glance, they turned toward the bustling hotel, ready to face the future, hand in hand.